On April the 11th, the second meeting between the Ukrainian and Slovak governments took place since the elections in Slovakia. It is worth noting that during his election campaign, Fico announced his intention to stop supplying arms to Ukraine. Now the rhetoric of the Slovak government has changed. Prime Minister Robert Fico expressed support for Kiev and promised his Ukrainian counterpart Denys Shmyhal the assistance of Bratislava in Ukraine's European integration aspirations.
I would like to repeat without any hesitation, so that there is no doubt that the usage of Russian military force in Ukraine was a flagrant violation of international law. Ukraine needs help and solidarity. That's what we are here for. Of course, there may be different views and different points of view on this assistance and our solidarity. And we speak very openly with the Prime Minister, in particular about cooperation in the humanitarian and civil fields. Rhetoric does not change quickly. This is a gradual process and the result of work, including Ukrainian diplomacy. Therefore, what Fico could say at the moment does not at all mean a systemic change in his position regarding Ukraine. Fico perfectly understands the political consequences for himself personally and for Slovakia in the EU if he, like his Hungarian colleague Orban, blocks support for Ukraine. He understands that the kind of leverage Hungary uses will not work for long.
The parties discussed several blocks of issues: energy, economic and political cooperation, humanitarian support for Ukraine, mine clearance, and expanding the capacity of border checkpoints. By the end of 2028, Ukraine and Slovakia plan to complete the reconstruction of the common electrical interconnector, which will increase the possibility of exporting and importing electricity between the countries.
We agreed to systematically review our contractual framework on financial, technical, economic cooperation and social protection by the middle of next year. It requires significant updating to meet today's challenges. New contracts and agreements will be concluded, which will allow us to interact more effectively. We also agreed with the Slovak side to work out the lifting of unilateral restrictions on Ukrainian agricultural products as quickly as possible. Work in this direction continues.
According to statements by the Prime Minister of Ukraine, the parties agreed on cooperation in the field of weapons. The details were not reported to the press.
The countries of Eastern Europe, for the most part, have good stockpiles of weapons, including Soviet-style ones, and such weapons that can be very useful for Ukraine. As in its time, Bulgaria unexpectedly, seriously helped us by providing significant amounts of both weapons and ammunition. Therefore, in case with Slovakia, we can talk about both the artillery ammunition and about the artillery mounts themselves, howitzers, heavy equipment, and other weapons that Slovakia can share with our country.
The intergovernmental consultations also resulted in agreements on the issue of demining Ukrainian territories. Slovakia promises to provide the appropriate engineering vehicles and produce them jointly with Ukraine. By the end of this year, the countries plan to launch direct passenger rail service between Kiev and Košice. In addition, Robert Fico promised that Slovakia will take part in the inaugural peace summit in Switzerland. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Larisa Zubenko, UATV News.